Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast that we bring you each and every day at this stage on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe button and bell notification. We're also available on Spotify and on Anchor if you prefer the audio version. So go over there and check us out. And as always, like, share, and subscribe, and always support Irish podcasting. So tonight, we're going to take a look. This is our Liverpool versus Chelsea preview, coming to you from some of the OGs of the Upper Tier Podcast. So joining me tonight is Craig.
How
are you, Craig? Dane.
Hi, everybody.
Back again. And of course, the OG of the network himself, representing the Blues, Ian the Dynamo Kelly. How are you, Ian?
That's good, and that's the right salute now, yeah? Not a right wing salute, the right salute.
Not too bad, not too bad.
Good to be here, lads. Good to be here.
We'll capture that on the thumbnail, don't worry. Where do we kind of begin with this? I mean, Chelsea are coming off the back of a very disappointing performance against United. Liverpool are coming off the back of 4 very bad performances and 1 decent performance against Sheffield United. So it's hard to kind of know. I suppose with these matches, again, these original kind of top 4, top 6 matches, form kind of goes out the window, you know what I mean? So I suppose, I mean, to set the scene, our current form at the moment, Liverpool 2 wins, 4 losses in the last 6. Chelsea 4 wins and 2 draws. So there's a consistency there with Chelsea at the moment. But again, coming off the back of that United game, I'm sure Chelsea fans would have been disappointed. Craig, we'll start with you. Take Liverpool and let me know what you're thinking is this big game coming up tomorrow night.
Yeah, obviously, as we touched on the Monday matchup, results went our way the weekend, which was good. Everyone had played their games. The points went the way we wanted them to, more or so than less, and we got our win. But no disrespect, it was against Sheffield United. This is Chelsea. The last few games haven't been good enough at Anfield, and I think Chelsea, I just think now with Tuchel in charge, if Lampard was still in charge, I would have been a bit more confident with his inexperience and kind of not knowing his best 11. But Tuchel looks to have come in and got everything organised very quickly. And he's kind of given everyone a chance. And the thing that I worry about tomorrow is, I don't know about Ian, but I couldn't even name close probably to the 11 that he'll pick. I don't know, you know, what the threat is going to be or what way they're going to set up. I would take Thiago out tomorrow. I think the midfield is going to be key tomorrow against their midfield. They've a lot of good ballers in there, the likes of Kovacic and stuff, move the ball very well, very quickly, keep possession well. I'd probably bring in Fabinho, obviously, back into the midfield, but I'd keep him with Gini and Jones. Keep the lads at centre-back, try and get a partnership going instead of rotating centre-backs every week. Get a bit of solidity in there as well. And hopefully Jota can come back in, even if maybe give Firmino a bit of a break and start Jota or vice versa.
Yeah, I would stress in terms of Sheffield United, that's the same Sheffield United team that did beat Manchester United only a few weeks ago. So I would stress that. But I would say there's probably, I suppose it depends on what his call is with Fabinho, isn't it? Whether he puts him back in defence or plays him in midfield. I suppose,
yes.
Going to you, Dean, is there a call for Keita to play in midfield tomorrow and try and create those runs and passes through the middle of the park to try and bypass Kovacic and Jorginho? Would that be your thinking on that? Keita come in and do a job there?
Well, Fabinho was back anyway. He's going to start, and I think my thought process would be that Fabinho plays in front of the defence and just go with Kabak and Phillips. Chelsea, as Craig said there, they're chopping and changing, but they're so much more solid as a unit now. I actually enjoy watching Chelsea. I hate Chelsea, but I enjoy watching Chelsea now because they're going back to the way they were. They're compact. Marcos Alonso came back in. I love him as a player. He's very, very, very good. I think he's going to set up tomorrow night to go with he played Chilwell against United. I think he's going to play Alonso tomorrow evening just to go at Trent Alexander-Arnold because he's seriously underrated. But going back to the topic there of Keita, I have a feeling that Klopp is going to play Fabinho at centre-half. And me personally, I'd start Keita, I'd drop Thiago. I don't think he's kind of living up to expectations. I don't think any. To be honest, I don't know whether he's a 6 or an 8, or he's just hovering around there, or whatever. But he's not having the effect that was desired. But I'd play Genie as the 6, and have Keita kind of just around the middle of the park, go toe to toe with Kovacic and Jorginho, and let Curtis Jones build on that performance against Sheffield United. But it is gonna tomorrow. It's gonna be like a game of chess. It's gonna be really, really tight. It's not. No one's gonna go all out, and I think my heart is saying that we'll win, but my head is saying that I have a feeling it's going to be a bar draw like the United Chelsea game from the weekend. I think there's too much at stake. We have to go for the Chelsea, not as much. And I think if we go for it, if he plays Giroud tomorrow night, could be the difference. Giroud is Chelsea's best attacker. I know Ian's he probably disagree being a Chelsea fan, but Giroud could make a big impact against Kabak there tomorrow night if he starts. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see whether he plays Fabinho in the middle of the park or he plays him a centre half. I'd go with the 2 from Saturday or Sunday and let them build on that. And I'd play Fabinho in front of the defence, but it's up in arms at the moment. So fingers crossed he's playing in the middle of the park.
Yeah, my fear would be if he plays Fabinho in that holding role in front of the back 4, there's kind of a big hole there in midfield. And even though Jones has been outstanding since he came in, there would be a lack of that real creativity in there because Genie's kind of not that type of player. He's more even a holding battler type player himself, you know. So I'd be concerned about creativity, and that's why I was shouting for Keita there. Maybe it could be a game for him to come in, because the one thing you get from Keita is he will go past players and he will create those passes through the centre rather than the problem for us tomorrow night really is if we go back to the old style of going across the wings and trying to put balls in, we're not going to get much joy in there because that Chelsea defence, the height in that Chelsea defence there and all, it'd have to be an inch perfect cross for the likes of Salah, Bobby, or maybe if Jota comes in, or Mane to actually reach a header against those boys. The likes of Rudiger in there, Christensen and Asper guiding them as well would be a real problem.
I have a feeling that's why Tuchel, you're obviously going to come in and you're going to put your own imprint on the team, but I have a feeling that's why he's gone with the 3 at the back, play the height and the muscle at the back, and then play the likes of Alonso, who is a left back, but he's an out now wing back, if you get me. Do you know what I mean? He's proven himself there over the years. As Piliqueta, he can play as a deep sitting right back, or he can play as the right wing back. But I have a feeling that's why he's kind of opted. Chilwell's not a bad player. Let's be honest, he's not a bad player. But Chelsea over the years have been more. They've made more of a statement in games when they play with the wing backs instead of the deep lying left backs. So Chilwell goes toe to toe with Trent Alexander-Arnold. He could get caught in a game of I'm a better attacker than you are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I suppose with Chilwell as well, he'd be a better defensive player than Alonso would be as well. And the other thing, normally when they play Alonso, and I know Wayne will come in now in a second, the only reason for playing Alonso there over Chilwell would be if you're up against a team with a lot of height going in there to kind of cut that off. But, we don't have any problems in terms of height up front because there is no height. So I think he'll favour Chilwell tomorrow night over Alonso. That would be my thinking because I think he's a more safer defensive option than what Alonso would be. You can see it even in a couple of games that Alonso played in. Tuchel's been going through him for a shortcut in terms of, reneging on his defensive duty, let's say. Ian, come in here and talk to us about Chelsea.
Yeah, I'm with Dane there, to be honest with you. I think that's why he rested Alonso against United. I think he'd probably see Alonso as more of a key against Liverpool because I know what you're saying about the height, and I hear you with that. But I think the reason that he has Rudiger out playing on that side of Alonso is because he's got the pace and the muscle. And we've seen it with Atletico Madrid there when Suarez was trying to go at Alonso when he was coming out from the right and cutting in, and Rudiger was always there to meet him and frustrated Suarez quite a bit in that sense. So I think that's kind of why, and because look, Alonso is just that kind of player as well that can pop up with a header at a corner. He can pop up with a fucking volley out of nowhere and probably do nothing for 90 minutes and the rest of the game. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think Dean's analysis pretty much of the Tuchel setup was spot on. I think you'll see the three at the back for the rest of the season until he gets his own setup in the summer, and then you'll probably see a mix between the 4-4-2 or the 4-3-3 and the three at the back. So I think Kante playing against United, we've all seen that he's not the player that he was. For me personally, anyway, his passing ability has just gone downhill. You know, I know he's a world-class player in his ability of tackling and kind of in that Edgar Davids style of play. He'll cover every blade of grass. He's not a Makelele type player. I don't know why people only kind of measure that in stature, I think, but he's not the same type of player. I think you'll see Jorginho back in the midfield with Kovacic. Kovacic is probably the informed player at the moment, to be honest with you, on that Chelsea side in terms of his ball retention is just ridiculous. And then obviously Jorginho is the man that can pick out the passes. I think Dino's right. I think Giroud will be key up front. I see he rested Werner as well against United. He only came on for the last 10 minutes. So Werner has linked up pretty well, to be fair, with Giroud since Tuchel's come in as well. So I think that pace on the left-hand side with Alonso in front of Werner, he'll probably look at Trent on that side as well. So Trent will probably have two players to look at on that. That'll be his thinking anyway. Do you know what I mean? That Trent will have two kind of players, one pacey, one big and strong. Right hand side, I think you'd probably go with Hudson-Odoi or Reece James. To be honest with you, you never know who he's going to go with on that side. But both are equally as dangerous. As far as playing on the right, I don't know. It might go with Pulisic purely because of he looked half decent when he came on against United. He looked like he was up for at least running at the United defence, which is what we needed, because just hasn't worked out for Ziyech at the moment. So, and we probably won't see much of Tammy Abraham starting games, to be fair, from here till the end of the season, with everything that's come out and him basically kind of holding the club to ransom for money that he certainly doesn't deserve. And I say good riddance personally. I'd be giving Giroud that 2-3 year contract. I don't care if he's 40. He'd still bring the lad on at the end of a game and he'd still do something special. So that'd be my analysis. And as you said, lads, you have called the back line yourselves pretty much. You know it's going to be Christensen, Rudiger, and Azpilicueta until Thiago Silva comes back. So
I think we have to.
That'd be my thoughts.
I think we have to watch Mason Mount as well in the pocket, picking the ball.
Mason Mount actually will probably be the one that starts on the right instead of Pulisic. Actually,
have to watch him linking up and getting on the ball and creating.
Yeah.
I suppose my concern would be if he starts Hudson-Odoi over Reece James and he starts Alonso over Chilwell, and you're playing with that back three, that's kind of, I won't say narrow, but you know what I mean by narrow, not narrow, but I'm wondering, is that the opportunity there for Trent and Robertson, knowing that Hudson-Odoi and Alonso occasionally renege back on their defensive duties, which leaves that gap there on the wings for them to exploit. So that's why when I was thinking about it, I was thinking Chilwell and Reece James, because the one thing about those two boys, as well as getting forward and creating stuff, they don't forget their defensive duty. They've no problem running up and down that wing all night and playing their part both ends of the pitch. Which is something it's something that you don't see a lot from Hudson-Odoi. I mean, he kind of fancies himself as a forward and he kind of feels that's his job, that kind of way. What about Werner? Werner has to start, doesn't he?
Yeah.
If anything, just to even stick at the clock, really.
Werner will start. Yeah.
I think the intriguing thing about this is both managers. I mean, when you look at the head-to-heads on both managers, they've played 14 games, and Tuchel has he's only won 2, drawn 3, and lost 9 against Klopp, which I know doesn't mean anything in the bigger scheme of things, because it's a new start, it's a new club, it's all that kind of thing. But I mean, the one thing Liverpool have going for them tomorrow night is that the players will get a lift from the players returning. So Alisson will be back in, Fabinho will be back in. I'm not too sure on Jota yet. Keita's back there now. So the squad is kind of getting a bit of a lift. But the one thing they have an opportunity against Chelsea tomorrow night is, I still don't think Tuchel knows, apart from his back line, I don't think he's fully sure about what he wants ahead of that. Really, he's still trying a few little things and trying to figure out what works for him. And maybe that's what's maybe that's what the opportunity is for Liverpool tomorrow night. That it's still slightly unsettled, if you like. I presume Mendy will be in goals. I mean, that's a given anyway, isn't it? But even Mendy, I mean, in the last few weeks has had a couple of little sort of shaky moments at times, you know what I mean? But other than that, he's solid. And I mean, Thiago's back in training.
Name a keeper this season, in fairness, that hasn't. It's been weird, hasn't
it?
Oh,
they've all had it. They've all had it.
Such a weird season, yeah.
And you know what it is? It's not necessarily been the keepers. It's more being the unsettling of defences.
Yeah.
More so than the keepers are not confident in what's in front of them. And what's in front of them then becomes not confident in what's happening with the keeper.
Exactly,
so it's like a sort of a double cross blame game type of thing, you know, that kind of way.
Yeah.
But it you know, I mean, also you look at like Chelsea and Anfield over the last 6 games, 3 draws and 3 losses. So it hasn't been that much of a happy hunting ground for them. I think the last win they had there, I think, was the League Cup game where they won 2-1. But other than
Hazard, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but it's an intriguing tie in terms of, like, it really is like it feels like a top 4 6-pointer, doesn't it? Really.
You know, it's funny, if Chelsea beat United there on Sunday, you're going into it as a Chelsea fan thinking this is probably the best time to play Liverpool. And then Liverpool coming off the back of it, and I know you're saying it was only Sheffield, but coming off the back of that, you're looking and saying, right, what Chelsea are we going to get? Are we going to get that Chelsea that are happy to play around, around their box and just keep possession? Because the one thing we were missing against Man United, and I'm sure you watched the game, lads, was that Jorginho passing ability. You know, with Conte, all you're getting is sideways passing to the back, sideways, and that bugs the fucking shit out of me. And evidently it bugs the shit out of Tuchel as well, because you could see him going mad. He was like, lads, push forward. So that's why I'm thinking you might see Hudson-Odoi start on the right. But to be honest with you, I would be more inclined to start Reece James at right back, definitely anyway, because I mean, I think that lad's crossing ability is unbelievable. You saw the crosses that he was putting into the box against United, and they were only coming in when Giroud was gone off the pitch. I was like, it's a bit late now. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what you wanted coming in, with the big man up front. So he could also throw a curveball and have Giroud as that super sub and go with the Mason Mount. He could have Werner play that kind of false 9 and go with the Mount and Pulisic playing off him either side as well. And if it's not going right, he could bring on Giroud. That's my kind of thinking. I've noticed he's done that a couple of times, and he switches the 3 lads up front. You know what I mean? They take turns at playing the false 9. So a bit similar to Klopp, like with Bobby Firmino and all that. And you've seen it. We've seen it. It's a German thing, isn't it? They're just fucking. They're built for.
Yeah, well,
right?
Probably more so with Tuchel at the moment, because he is, as I said to you, he's still trying to figure out the blend.
You know Klopp has had this team for nearly 5 years, so he knows exactly what works. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Tuchel could throw a curveball in though, and look, we haven't mentioned Havertz at all. Who's to say he could turn around tomorrow night and surprise everybody and play Giroud and Werner up top, playing like Werner playing off Giroud, where Havertz playing behind him. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah.
My worry is Liverpool I hide behind the cushions when the team attack us, because it doesn't matter what team it is. We look vulnerable on every attack that we take from the opposition. That's why I'm hoping he goes with the 2 with Phillips and Kabak and plays Fabinho. We need Fabinho in front of the defence just to break up that play. He gives the fouls away in acceptable places, like around the centre circle. He doesn't let the play go too deep. I know I did say about Gini playing as the number 6, but that's just kind of thinking if you want to play Keita as well, because you're not going to play Keita in front of the defence. So I'm really hoping, and I have a feeling he's going to play Fabinho in centre half, but I'd love him to start in front of the defence, break up that play early, have Gini, as usual, underrated workhorse ethic, and Curtis Jones off doing his thing like Mason Mount. But yeah, it was only when I was looking at the Chelsea squad there, like, nobody's talking about Havertz playing a role. That could be the case tomorrow night when the team comes out that it's Werner playing off Giroud, where Havertz sitting behind him. And just fucking, if he was to turn up tomorrow night with the way our back four is at times, we could be ripped to pieces.
I think
Yeah,
it'd be,
because I
go
think
ahead, Ian.
his management of Havertz has been very good since he's come in, because Lampard was obviously playing him all over the shop, and you see Tuchel's just said to him, right, you're a young lad, fucking, we'll get you back fit. I know he never really kind of fully recovered, it seemed, after that 2 weeks off with the coronavirus, and he was kind of thrown back into it. And a young lad coming to a different country, especially in a league as mental as the Premier League, especially with the fixture list now, I think it was probably the wrong man management side for Frankie. But yeah, that's actually a very good point with Dino because I see that Tuchel's really been working with Havertz. I've been watching the Chelsea training videos, and he's really, really been working him in that kind of a central and floating right area where he is, because he is a number 10. Let's not forget, lads. That's where he made his mark in Leverkusen last year. So that's a good shout. Yeah.
He could probably come in for Ziyech, who I think hasn't lived up to, I thought the weekend he was the one, like the Mahrez type, who might have unlocked something, but he didn't look like it at all. Like he
nothing.
Didn't
He just looks
very
devoid
surprising.
of all confidence, doesn't he?
Just in case Thomas Tuchel happens to come across his feet in the morning, mate, I'm a drunk. I make no sense in anything I'm saying. What I just said there about Havertz behind Giroud and Werner, I'm pissed. Don't worry about it.
Whereas I'm not. Tuchel, he's 100% right. Go for it.
Yeah. I suppose the four of us have to be impressed with the season that Mason Mount's having. I mean, he's been absolutely outstanding, hasn't he? I mean,
yeah,
he's probably the first name that nearly goes on the team sheet, really, when you think about it. Apart from your back three, I suppose, that picks itself. But he's just been outstanding, and he has that. He's a bit like sort of how would you describe it? He's like a local lad, isn't he? That gets that Chelsea way. And he's, in the vein of a Lampard or a Terry, but obviously not at that level yet. But where like he kind of, you can see by Mount that it means a lot to him. You're saying that even the other day in the United game, he just wasn't happy at all. Like, you know what I mean? It's nearly disgusted with himself as well as the team for not, because I mean, that wasn't a great United side the other day by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
And looking at it, when the two teams came out, looking at it, I thought Chelsea would, comfortably come away there with a 1 or a 2-0 win and like totally control the game. And for large parts of the game, in fairness, they did. I mean, United only came into the game in kind of patches, really.
It's kind of funny. I wanted to point out one thing is all the United fans crying over the penalty situation. I mean, how ironic is it a Man United fan giving out about United not getting a penalty? Considering the last time Chelsea and United met, Harry Kane was playing fucking wannabe pro wrestler with Azpilicueta in the box in a headlock. And you know what I mean? So it's just for you United fans, keep being fucking salty and
Yeah, but I would say, I suppose, I mean, looking at the teams around us at the moment, both teams.
Mason Mount, though, Niall, sorry, I was interested. I'd be very interested to hear your lads' take on Mount, because I know yous are all kind of, especially yous are two of the Liverpool fans that be on the mashup and all that. That makes sense. I'm only winding the lads up. No, in fairness, though, I like listening to you two boys about your analysis on other teams as well, because you're quite fair. Like, so I'd actually be interested to hear what yous have thought about Mount, actually.
Oh yeah, going back to Mount, I think, as Noel touched on about the boyhood kind of dream. Imagine being Lampard guiding him at Derby, but then not only that was probably a dream in itself. He's probably his hero. And then taking him to Chelsea and basically starting him, not like, you're at Derby, this is a totally different ball game, I can't put you in here. Just threw him straight in like it was the exact same thing. And he's thrived on it. I think he's amazing. I think his attitude is very good as well. He's very level-headed. He's not in the papers. He's not in the media. You don't hear anything about him, like anything bad. And I think he's just kind of, as Noel touched on, he's playing for Chelsea and it's nothing more, nothing less, you know what I mean?
Do you know what he benefited from most was the transfer ban? Because I don't think
he actually gave you the chance because they had to,
he had no choice, you know what I mean? He was fucked in the deep end. The Chelsea, it was a win-win situation, you know what I mean? Either these guys either fail miserably and we move them on, or else they step up to the plate and they establish themselves in the team. And like you look at the names that were brought in summer, like Ziyech, Havertz, Timo Werner and all, everybody was envious. As a Liverpool fan, I was fucking fuming.
Yeah.
We didn't get Werner or Havertz. But like, out of all the names that are there in the attacking front, who's the first name on the sheet? Yeah. Mason Mount. Do you know what I mean? You have to give the lad credit, because myself personally, I was thinking the Championship is his level. When he came in under Lampard, I was thinking, right, he's obviously bringing him in with Tammy Abraham because of the transfer situation, and you know, he's making up numbers. And I said to myself, when the transfers that's lifted, players are going to come in, he'll be eased out. And he's fought his bollocks off, because I guarantee you, he's 22, right? By the time he's 25, 26, he'll be one of the first names on the England team sheet. But just want to off the subject, Curtis Jones is 20. In 2 years' time, we're going to be saying the same thing about him, because once every generation, lads come up. I don't know. Is he from London? In?
Yeah, he was at Chelsea since he's 8. Yeah, I think he's from Peterborough originally, but he's been at the Chelsea Academy since he was 8.
But every once in a generation, we were lucky that we got Gerrard and Carragher, but Curtis Jones is going to be our next Gerrard and Carragher. You know,
Phil Foden at Man City, nearly, like, you know.
I think every team needs someone like that in the team. You know what I mean? Let's go in, because I guarantee you, he's small in stature, Mason Mount, but I guarantee he's going there for big games and saying, lads, chest out. This club means fucking everything to me. It should mean everything to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every club needs something like that.
Yeah, we've kind of spoke about him before. I mean, I've spoken in terms of certainly a future Chelsea captain, without a shadow of a doubt. And I think with the two boys that you spoke about there, Dane, we are saying nearly like the second coming of Lampard and Gerrard, you know, potentially, you know. But we've also spoke on the show before. Isn't it interesting that, like, all the talk in the UK is always about, you know, Craig's alluded to it before, it's always Jack Grealish or Declan Rice or all this kind of thing. You know, the Mason Mounts and the Curtis Jones of this world, and, you know, the Patrick Bamfords of this world, who are having outstanding seasons.
Like Bamford, I have to remind, you know, he's a goal off Harry Kane now, bar the weekend. Why should he not get a mention? He's at a club who's just being promoted, like.
And like, they're never mentioned. You know what I mean? Like, you think about it, like every weekend when you look at the articles online or the media or anything like that, it's always Declan Rice or Jack Grealish or whoever it is. But when do you hear about Mason Mount, who's outstanding at Chelsea? When do you hear about Curtis Jones, who's going through a really tough season with Liverpool and is outstanding? You know what I mean?
Can you imagine what it's going to be like, though, if Grealish or Rice signs for the Man United or signs for a Man City? Like, if it's that bad now, you know what I mean? The club you're playing for, with the spotlight that's around the said names there you mentioned, Declan Rice and Jack Grealish. Imagine what it'd be like if one of them was to sign for United or to sign for City
as well.
You know what I mean? It's considering that they played underage football for fucking Ireland as well. You know what I mean? The spotlight should be on the likes of Mason Mount, should be on the likes of Curtis Jones. You know what I mean? I think if Liverpool were having a better season than they're having, a guarantee Curtis Jones be one of the first names on the England team sheet. You know what I mean? He's overlooked now as it is, but no, their time will come, and I guarantee you, by the time Mason Mount is 25, he'll be one of the first names on the England team sheet, as will Curtis Jones.
Yeah,
I think looking into the fixture tomorrow night, though, I think it's key that, you know, both teams try and go for the 3 points, because I'm looking at that whole section there in the league, you know, even down, you know, Everton, Tottenham, Arsenal, even, you know, when you go down even that far, the league now for that, you know, even that fourth spot is so tight now that, like, you know, a draw tomorrow night for both teams, I don't think it does them any favours at all with the teams that are around them. Now, we naturally would expect, and no disrespect to those teams, the likes of the Leicesters and the West Hams. And, you know, I would have said Everton as well, but I'm not too sure with Ancelotti, you know what I mean? Because he's, you know, he knows his stuff, you know what I mean? We would expect them to fall away. But you see, like, a resurgence of Tottenham now with Bale coming back to form and stuff like that. You know, obviously Leicester are struggling a little bit and they're on that slide and stuff like that, but they're still up there or thereabouts. West Ham, I would expect to fall away. Everton, I'm not too sure with Ancelotti. Arsenal, I'm not too sure, because you're not too sure with Arsenal what you're going to get from week to week, really, you know.
This game tomorrow night is probably our biggest game of the season, if I'm being honest. If Chelsea were to win tomorrow night, they go on 47 points, 4 points ahead of us. Everton are playing tomorrow night. If they win and we lose, they go 3 points ahead of us with a game in hand. Tomorrow night, Personally, I would have thought Leicester would have been fine for second place had they kept Harvey Barnes and Maddison. They're at losing them through injury. I can see them probably finishing 7th or 8th this season. West Ham, I can't see them maintaining the pace that they're at the moment. They're having a great season, by the way. But tomorrow night, this is our biggest game of the season. If we were to win tomorrow night, it's a fucking massive incentive because we Fulham at home the weekend. I see us, if we win tomorrow night, I can see us going to and giving Fulham a right hiding and setting a bit of momentum, getting the lads back from injury and all. It's tomorrow night. I said it the weekend. Tomorrow night is fucking massive for Liverpool.
It's nearly shades of a cup final, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And especially if our intention is to change things up a little bit in the summer and go into the market, we have to have Champions League football. Otherwise, we're back into that sort of rotation again. You know what I mean?
There's talk of I read today. There's talk of there's some American crowd, Red Cardinal or something. They're looking at buying 10% of the club for 540 million. I presume that's FSG looking at as that money coming in is going to obviously build the team. But they're probably saying if we don't get like you can't see Haaland signing if we don't get Champions League football. The Mbappe thing is a bit. That's a dream. Yeah, I think that's a dream.
Yeah.
If I had a choice between the two of them, whoever gets Haaland in the summer is going a long way to winning the league. There's talk of Man City again. And if we don't get Champions League football and he goes to Man City, we can see Man City dominating English football for about 10 years. That lad is fucking. He'd score goals any league. I
think Chelsea are in for him with City too, aren't they? Because with the talk of Mason Mount leaving too, so it looks like if Liverpool get top 4, I don't see any of the Spanish clubs getting him. I see like a 3. It's basically he has his pick of Liverpool, City, or although you heard City saying this year that they're not entering bidding wars with anyone because they know like the thing about Chelsea is obviously we know that he's a billionaire owner and can do whatever the fuck he wants if he wants, but the thing is, there's still a lot of money there that wasn't even spent in the summer, even though it looked like it was. There's still a lot of that money there that hasn't been spent over the years. So I think City are a bit aware of that now. Do you know what I mean with teams? So the likes of Liverpool or a Chelsea, teams like that can pop in for 1 or 2 of these players. I think Mbappe is a pipe dream for any club, to be honest with you. Until the Bank of fucking Spain ends up like remortgaging Real Madrid's fucking.
What we were talking about last night with the Monday night about the Ramos situation. Yeah. They're trying to get Alaba in on. He wants 400 grand a week.
Yeah.
They're also trying to get Mbappe in, so I can see them getting rid of Ramos and Varane. But just going back to Haaland there, he's like he reminds me of Van Nistelrooy. He's just. That strength, his left foot, right foot header. He's absolutely leading from the goal. That's my pipe dream for the summer. I love Bobby Firmino. He's my favourite player. But Haaland playing through the middle there with Mane and Salah either side of him. That's a fighting fucking prospect. We get a centre half in and get Haaland in. Like that I think we go toe to toe with City. But if City were to get a striker who'll score 25, 30 goals, everyone else may as well give up.
Yeah, I was listening to reports today on Alaba today. Actually, apparently he's pulled out of discussions with Real Madrid, because the offer that they put on the table to him is nowhere near what he wants apparently. So there is a real opportunity for teams in the Premiership at the top end to sign some players this summer, some star players, because Barcelona and Real Madrid are no longer that prospect, that they were. In terms of, there's a lot of turmoil going on there at the moment in both clubs in behind, in terms of finances, in terms of structure, in terms of political stuff. We've spoke about it a million times on this podcast, you know what I mean? So whereas Real Madrid or Barcelona would have come knocking and that would have been the dream for a lot of these players, it doesn't seem to be that cozy dream anymore. And especially with the resurgence in Italian football as well, with the 2 Milans. Yeah. And we'll be doing a show on that tomorrow, actually, the rise of the Milans again.
Inter Milan are supposed to be in massive financial trouble. They're after missing two payments.
They haven't paid 9 million for Hakimi, has yet to be paid, and the players haven't been paid in July, August, and Inter Milan.
They actually reported today, that they missed a bonus payment on Lukaku, 4.82 million that they missed. And
it's funny though, it shows that, the players haven't been paid since July, August, but they're still top of the league. And
can I say something on that, right? And as you know, Niall, I'm a massive I'm a massive hockey fan. I like a lot of American sports in general. But good Lord, for everything that people say about the American sports, their fucking pay structure is perfect. Like you look at hockey, for example, they have when you have all these youth players that are coming up on the lower teams, they have the draft classes, which I think is a brilliant fucking idea. You know, players like a team like Burnley goes down at the bottom of the league, they get first draft pick next year for the top prospect in the country or whatever. Then the salary caps, like your team has an 80 to 90 million salary cap, and your players are guaranteed, they're given their contract. So the way it works in hockey, right? You sign a player for say 7 years at 9 million. That's 9 million a year for that player. Now you can make a trade with Liverpool for that player for maybe a couple of picks and a couple of different players. It's just brilliant to see how these teams manage it. There's a lot more skill involved, and the money is generated far more equally. And look, there's no way we can say, oh, well, we couldn't do that in football. Well, not now, because obviously it's politics. I'm just making the point, wouldn't it be great to see something like that? You know what I mean? I just think it's a much fairer, and I mean, I'm saying this as a Chelsea fan, lads, you know what I mean? Yeah. I just think it's a great structure that they have over there. So I really do give a shout out to the Americans and that, because they get a lot of fucking, they get a lot of flack for, this sport's shite or that sport's shite. But you know what? I think organizationally, they're run absolutely fantastic. And some of these clubs are worth like twice as much as like the biggest Premier League clubs or the biggest,
Well, the revenues in that market are massive as well. I mean, hence the reason we were talking on the Monday mashup about the Champions League potentially being staged in New York to attract in more sponsors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I even put it to the lads about whether an MLS team eventually would drop into the Champions League at some stage. Create this World League. It could easily happen, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think, the head on me and the finance in me would say, I'd like a much more level playing field. And of course, financial fair play was supposed to deliver some of that, but it's been an absolute disaster.
Oh, it's been politics, yeah.
Yeah, well, it just doesn't get enforced. You know what I mean? But then the other romantic side of me, the romantic side of football says to me, isn't it lovely when you see the likes of a Burnley or a Sheffield United going to United or Chelsea or Liverpool or Man City and beating them? Isn't that why we kind of follow football as well? Yeah. That we like to see the underdog do the business. No different than in boxing, where we want sometimes the underdog to win the fight.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of situation as well. I mean, as you alluded to the draft picks and stuff like that, it's all well and good having that first draft pick over there, but because, as you said, the finances are spread so evenly, you can afford it. You can imagine if you had a reversal draft pick here and you had, okay, there's Burnley, say, at the bottom of the league, or let's say Sheffield United, you go, okay, you first draft pick, and they go, yeah, okay, we'll take Mbappe. But how are you going to afford him? You know what I mean? So it's all well and good.
Well, you see, it's capped, isn't it? It's capped, yeah.
Yeah, but normally when they cap these things, remember, they tend to cap them at the, more to the top end than they do at the bottom end.
But you notice, like, you don't see, like, say, like, in basketball or whatever, like, even the teams that would be considered shite, like, I don't know, fucking Arizona or something.
Yeah.
Like, they can, technically, their wage bill can support the LeBron James, you know what I mean? They're not getting outside sources. And again, that's because of the way it's run. So you might have bigger markets so you can attract better players in terms of, everyone wants to live in New York or everyone wants to live in LA or whatever like that. But it's that's just the point I'm making. Over here, it's like it's you can have these fucking owners just come in and go, fuck this. We're buying whatever the fuck we want, like.
Yeah. But I suppose when you look at the American sports as well, generally, at the start of those seasons for those different individual sports, you can pick 4 teams and you're going to be fairly close anyway. So the cream still rises to the top,
definitely,
regardless of it,
definitely.
So I suppose there's nothing left to be said here except predictions, boys.
Oh,
Craig.
Oh, Jesus.
Starting with you, Craig.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big game of chess tomorrow. Who's going to kind of move first? I think Chelsea, unlike us, have more of a chance of, if they want, can sit back and take a bit of pressure and hit us on the break. They're in a position, I think, to do so more than we are, obviously. I'm obviously going to go with my heart with my team, and I think if we can get Fabinho into midfield and protect the back 4, maybe, as you said, play Koita or Curtis and Genie in there with him, I'm going to go 2-1 for us. I'll always go with my team, and I know it's going to be very tight. I think it could be 0-0 for a long until someone makes the first move, though, but it's going to be a good game, I think. I think it'll be very interesting.
Dan?
In the wise words of Brian Kerr, 46-23. What do you think I am? A fucking fortune teller? I always go with my own team, like I did against Spurs. I got that one spot on when we were kind of on the ropes. If Chelsea get the team selection right, I think it could be a draw, boy. I think Jota coming back and Fabinho was a massive boost for the team. Alisson coming back in after losing his father. I think there's going to be a big fucking togetherness tomorrow night. A massive togetherness tomorrow night. 3-1 Liverpool.
And
2-0 Chelsea.
2-0 clean sheet, yeah.
Yeah, I think Dino has me excited for Havertz. To be fair, I'm a huge fan of that boy, but no, I think I do think it'll be a tight game. I think Chelsea will get. I just have a feeling Chelsea might get an early goal this time because I think there's a hunger on the Chelsea side too, coming off the back of that draw. Yeah. So like I respect your score predictions, lads, because we're kind of almost like two peas in a pod here, that we both need it. I feel Chelsea might get an early goal, and then I'm just thinking someone like a Giroud near the end might nip a second, while because Liverpool will have to come at us then. So, and I trust this defence at the moment because of how well they've been playing, and but again, you know. If I was to play devil's advocate here, you know, with Jota coming back as well, you know, if there was a couple of pieces changed around in that Liverpool team as well, it could be even tighter than we expect. So, but yeah, no, I'm the same. I fancy my team. I think you should always fancy your own team no matter what. So,
I think it rides on their selection. I think tomorrow night rides on where Fabinho plays.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah. Like whoever is going to be put in place to watch Kovacic is going to be super important because we all know where Jorginho plays. He just sits there, so that's not the issue. I think the Kovacic movement, I think you lads will agree, will be the.
We have to if we are to nullify that though, it has to be Fabinho. He has to be there. It has to be. You know, we need that protection, like actual real protection and screening in front of the back four. Yeah. Whereas if he's in centre back, it's all getting happening in front of him, and it's too late.
And you've Giroud there to play with him. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We need a protection.
Right. Well, I'm going to go for Liverpool 3-1. And I'm going to preface that with if we play Thiago or Keita, I think, and if we try and play up the middle and through the lines, I think we'll have a lot more success. If we play to the usual pattern out on the wings, I think we're kind of wasting our time lobbing balls in there. I think we need to get the ball to Mane and Salah and Bobby, and we need them to run at that Chelsea back three. And we know referees are hurting a bit at the moment.
I wouldn't be worried about Bobby Firmino now. The other two, yeah.
Well, I'm not too sure about that now because, you know, I think Bobby with his bit of trickery against Christensen.
I'm glad you said that. Bobby Firmino, first goal tomorrow night. Nice one,
I'm only, you know, I love you, Dino. I'm just winding you up.
But we have been struggling as well. You know, we've the highest amount of VAR decisions have gone against us, so we're probably due a bit of a break. So what I'm thinking tomorrow night
that last year, you pox.
Yeah, well, we got a lot of other stuff last year as well. But I'm thinking Mane running at Aspa, or Rudiger seems to be a bit of a hothead at the moment. He's grabbing lads.
Yeah, he loves fighting lads at the minute, doesn't he?
So maybe Mo Salah can upset him, or Bobby upset him a little bit tomorrow, and we might even get a penalty in there in the three that we get. But I think if the players come back, if he plays Fabinho in defence, forget about it. I think we'll get beat. There's no doubt about it because we'll just sit back. We'll be porous in midfield, and Chelsea will just run through that. They'll be too powerful. So if Fabinho's in midfield and not on the back line and he sticks with Phillips and Kabak, I think we'll probably be okay through the screening. And I think if we play the likes of some sort of creativity in there with Jones and Keita or something like that, I think we can play through players through Chelsea's midfield rather than trying to deal with it with Fabinho in defence. And I think we'd have a really good chance of picking up the points. But it's definitely an intriguing toy and one I'm really looking forward to. Yeah. And I think for the good of the league, we need a winner tomorrow night, one way or another, and to keep in touch. So as always, lads, go ahead.
Sorry, we're at the business stage of the season now. No, I don't. Neither team can afford to the way the results are going around either team, I think it's just like time to just fucking down the towels and just
Go for
fucking head down, eyes up, and go for it.
I think
Squeaky bum time, yeah.
anyone from 2nd down to 8 has a chance of getting top 4 at the moment, and every game now should be treated as a cup final.
I agree.
But until next time, lads, thanks for jumping on. Absolutely brilliant as always. I'm sure we will get you back on again to discuss what went down. So for me, as always, till next time, thanks and goodbye.